Hi, my name is Teresa Bruni and I am the healer at Less Fear, More Flow. My goal is to empower you as a patient. So if you or someone you love is dealing with a chronic health condition, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button now, because I'll be posting many more videos to give you lots of techniques to help you get well. Today, I want to talk about medical science. I have some pretty frightening statistics concerning healthcare in the United States. This information is meant to empower you, not panic you. So let's get started. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, otherwise known as the CDC, they show that currently 60% of the U.S. population suffers from a chronic health condition, and 40% of those individuals suffer from 2 or more chronic health conditions. At the same time, the U.S. has the most expensive healthcare system and spends more on healthcare than any other country in the world. Further, according to a Washington Post article dated August 21st, 2021, the United States ranks last and well below the average of the 11 wealthiest countries when it comes to healthcare. How could this possibly be true? We spend the most money on healthcare than any other nation in the world, yet 60% of our adult population is chronically ill. What is going on that is keeping the American healthcare system stuck and Americans so sick? We need to ask ourselves why our grand healthcare systems are failing us. So again, if you're suffering from a chronic health condition and expecting a cure, you need to be aware of the facts. Several sources, including but not limited to CNBC and Johns Hopkins University, state that medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. Let that sink in for a moment. Medical malpractice is the third leading cause of death in America. Additional studies indicate that the reason for these deaths go beyond physician error and diagnostic error to medical mistakes made by other healthcare practitioners and improper safety protocols. And among the chronically ill, medical malpractice is the leading cause of death. That's pretty scary stuff, don't you think? There was a time not long ago when doctors actually made house calls. These doctors treated the person as well as the patient. They knew their patients intimately, and they could tell if they were under stress. This has all changed. In today's society, doctors are often rushed. Their schedules are jammed with patient after patient, leaving little time to get to know the person within the patient. This shift in the way medical science is practiced is only part of the problem. Some believe the biggest shift in medical care happened during times of war when many patients required emergency treatment. Others believe that greed and financial gain are the culprits. I believe it's a little of both. The state of medical care in America today is a very complex issue. And rather than turning back to see how it happened, let's look forward for the fastest and most effective way to create positive change. If we expect excellent medical care in America, and we should, then we need to understand how the system works. But first, let me be clear about one very important thing. Medical science saves lives every single day. And there are hundreds of thousands of scientists, doctors, nurses, therapists, and other healthcare workers who are dedicated to helping people get well. And like sorting through a jar of jelly beans, it is going to be your job to pick out the best healthcare professional available. So how do we fix this system? Where do we start? It begins with one patient at a time, and it starts with you and me. If you are chronically ill, have a serious injury or other chronic condition, then your new full-time job is getting well. Make no mistake, you are in charge. You are the boss, and you have the right to interview, hire, and fire the healthcare providers who work for you. That's right, I said fire. Too many times people don't know that they can fire their doctor. You can. You simply stop going and hire someone else. It's that simple. When we as individuals begin to demand our power back, then and only then will the system begin to change. The most important thing to remember is it's your body and you have the right to call the shots. Your goal is to pick the best qualified healthcare professionals that can guide you back to good health. Yes, I said guide you. It's essential that each patient understand that the ultimate responsibility for recovery is yours. Your doctor is only part of the formula. If you believe that you can hand your body and your health over to medical science and expect a cure, you may be in for a big disappointment and years of suffering. So when it comes to choosing doctors, there may be limits imposed by your health insurance policy. Insurance companies often dictate which healthcare providers will be covered under your plan. Your policy may also require referrals to specialists and other therapists. And if you choose to go outside the insurance company's covered providers, you may end up paying the entire bill out of pocket. So the first thing to do in order to be proactive is to review your policy to see what practitioners and what services are allowed and how much your insurance will cover. Doing this homework will enable you to make an informed decision as to whether you want and can afford to see certain medical specialists. If you are without health insurance, as so many are, then you will need to determine what your budget can bear. It's essential to seek out and work with medical professionals whom you trust. It's also important to find the best, most highly qualified healthcare professionals you can afford, as well as those who are located within a comfortable distance of travel. If you're seriously ill, it may be difficult to make long trips to be treated, but in some cases, it may be worth the discomfort. Fortunately, today, there are qualified healthcare professionals within a few hours' drive of most cities. Also, it's important to know what hospitals your providers are associated with in case you need to be hospitalized. Hospitals also have reputations as being above or below standard, and you should have this information. Sometimes doctors are associated with more than one hospital, so having this information in advance could be very helpful should you need to be hospitalized. What about the ease of getting an appointment? Will you have to wait 6 weeks? That's not always an option for some people. All things considered, the most important aspect of choosing a doctor is this: Do you have trust and confidence in the person you will assign to managing your journey back to good health? It's not overly important that you like your doctor as much as it is that you trust them. I once had an extremely skilled holistic doctor, and his bedside manner was just the worst. The important thing was that he listened, he understood my concerns, and his treatment worked. I got the results that I wanted. Some doctors are extremely talented, but their bedside manner is not always the best. Keep in mind, a good doctor takes his or her job seriously, and they're usually very, very busy. However, communication is essential, and it's never optional. You should feel comfortable asking questions and never feel rushed out of the office unless you are blatantly taking advantage of the appointment time. So make sure you have a list of your concerns ready to discuss with your doctor when you get there. When choosing a doctor, age should also be a consideration. Older doctors have far more experience, but sometimes, and I emphasize that word sometimes, they are not on the cutting edge of technology. Younger doctors, they may have a better edge on the latest and greatest breakthroughs, but they often lack experience. Whenever possible, seek out doctors who are top in their field of experience. Also look towards teaching hospitals, research centers, and medical schools. Doctors who have trained at a high-profile school, completed a competitive residency or fellowship, or who are affiliated with a high-profile teaching or research facility often have the inside track to advanced diagnostic tools and treatments. Speaking of specialists, how do you know when you need one? Well, there's two ways to know. One is if your doctor tells you, and two, if your problem persists for 6 to 12 weeks and shows no sign of improvement. This is imperative. You need a specialist if your problem persists for 6 to 12 weeks with no signs of improvement. If your general practitioner, your internist, or your family doctor fails to help you, then look for a specialist, or at the very least, look for a new doctor. I learned this the hard way, so please learn from my mistake. If you are now where I was at the beginning of my healing journey, then there is much for you to learn, and that's why I'm here speaking with you. So how does one go about finding the right doctor? Let's discuss some ways. It might be helpful to ask friends and family, and you can do some research on the internet. However, the best advice I have for you is to ask other doctors. Other physicians and other healthcare providers and even dentists and pharmacists often know who is in the top of their field. When I was finally on the path to recovery, I had learned to ask my doctors what they would do if they were in my situation. And I did this for every important decision concerning my health and recovery. This is a good rule for most things in life. If you need a doctor and there's no one else to ask, then ask your dentist or ask your pharmacist. And if you need a specialist, ask your doctor who he or she would use. Better yet, ask them both. Also, be sure to ask how they might be affiliated. Is the referral coming from a personal or professional loyalty, or is this doctor truly the best in their opinion? Get several opinions. And do not count out your hairstylist. They may not know who is the best, but I assure you they will know who is not. The same holds true for surgeons, special procedures, and other treatments. Whenever possible, try to get 3 opinions. After all the facts are gathered, ask your doctor what they would do if they were in your place. If surgery is involved, they can advise you as to their opinion about anesthesia, the best hospital or outpatient clinic, and the best plan for recovery. Everyone enjoys feeling as though their opinion is valued. Most healthcare professionals enjoy it too, so be sure to ask. It's also essential to do even more research prior to making your final choice. Ensure that the person you have chosen to be your healthcare provider does not have a history of malpractice. You can access this information on the Medical Licensing Board websites within your particular state. If the doctor is new to the area, it would be wise to check his or her previous state as well. Over the years, there have been horror stories about unethical doctors who move from one state to another. In today's sue-happy society, many doctors will have malpractice complaints settled by an insurance company at some point in their career. This does not necessarily indicate that they are an incompetent doctor. The doctor may have been named only as a tangible part of the treatment team and may not have been directly involved in the care or the treatment of the patient. And there's always the chance that the doctor may have been falsely accused. And sadly, sometimes settling is far less expensive and time-consuming than a legal battle. However, it is important to assess whether a physician has a pattern of malpractice claims, either settled or arbitrated against them. If they have an unusually high number of complaints registered with the state board, then you know it's a good idea to avoid this doctor. Medical malpractice lawsuits continue to be on the rise. The national estimated payout for medical malpractice lawsuits in 2018 was nearly $4 trillion, with the leading cause being misdiagnosis followed by surgical error. As I mentioned earlier, medical malpractice is the 3rd leading cause of death in America. If your illness doesn't kill you, there's a chance that your doctor might. So be sure to choose wisely. Healthcare is the most important service you will ever purchase. Yet it is the area where people ask the fewest questions. Most people spend more time researching a new car purchase than they do in finding a qualified doctor. Additionally, people tend to hold doctors and even lawyers to a higher level of authority than they do other healthcare professionals. After all, they have all those years of expensive schooling, internship, and practice, right? We tend to blindly trust that they know what they are doing, and we sometimes feel intimidated to ask questions while they stand over us, telling us what we have, giving us our diagnosis and what we need to do. Always remember, it is your body and your health that is at stake. Keep in mind that although all board-certified doctors graduated from medical school, somebody graduated at the bottom of the class. And as I mentioned earlier, always have your list of questions ready for your visit. I usually make 2 lists. I make 1 copy for me and another copy for my doctor. And when possible, I send it into the office early through the patient portal, and I ask the staff to have it ready for my doctor during my visit. My doctors appreciate this because it saves us time and it ensures that all my questions are answered, and I don't have to count on my memory. Again, most doctors want the best possible outcome for you, so help them help you in every way that you can. There are thousands of highly qualified physicians and other healthcare workers out there ready to help you. And it's your job and your responsibility to find them. Blindly putting your trust in any healthcare professional could be a fatal mistake. So for now, I wish you well, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in learning more, hit that subscribe button and ring that little bell so that you know when I post more videos. There's more great information coming your way. I also encourage you to comment and ask questions below. I'll be sure to address as many of your questions as I possibly can. Thanks, and have an amazing, healthy life.